I canceled a job interview because of a bad feeling. 2 weeks later, I saw the hiring manager on the local news being arrested. The job looked perfect on paper. Aperture's director at a growing tech startup, salary nearly double what I was making, and only 15 minutes from my apartment. After 6 months of job searching while working 60-hour weeks at an agency that was slowly killing me, the first video interview went well. The second, with the department head, felt slightly off-putty. He asked oddly personal questions about whether I lived alone, and if I had family obligations that might require me to leave work unexpectedly. I brushed it off as startup awkwardness. Then came the final interview invitation, dinner at an upscale restaurant with the executive team at 8:30 p.m. on a Thursday. We like to see how candidates handle themselves in social settings, the email explained. Business casual attire, drinks first, then dinner. Something about it made my stomach tighten. Maybe it was the late timing or the emphasis on drinks or just accumulated stress from my current job. Whatever it was, I couldn't shake a creeping sense of unease. The morning of the dinner, I woke up with that feeling amplified. My therapist calls it my internal alarm system. Turn an intuition that saved me before. By noon, I'd crafted a polite email declining the interview, citing a family emergency. I expected relief, but felt only doubt. Had I just sabotaged my career over an irrational feeling? 2 weeks later, scrolling through local news, I froze at a familiar face. The hiring manager, the same man who'd asked if I lived alone, was being led from an office building in handcuffs. The headline, tech executive arrested in connection with serial assaults. According to the article, he'd been using job interviews to identify potential victims, particularly women without close family connections. His method involved business dinners where he'd serve drugged drinks. 3 women had come forward, all job candidates who'd met him for evening interviews at restaurants. Police found evidence suggesting there were more victims. One woman described how he'd insisted on driving her home after she felt unexpectedly dizzy during their interview dinner. Another remembered nothing after her first glass of wine until waking up in her apartment the next morning, missing jewelry and with no memory of how she got home. I sat staring at my screen, ice spreading through my veins. The dinner I'd canceled was scheduled at one of the same restaurants mentioned in the article that night. I called my mother. I hadn't told her about the job or my strange decision to cancel. When I finished explaining, the line went quiet. Your grandmother had the same thing, she finally said. She used to call it her warning bell. Once she refused to let us board a flight despite having packed and driven to the airport. The plane had mechanical failures and made an emergency landing. 3 passengers didn't survive. I've second-guessed many decisions in my life, but never again the choice to listen to that quiet voice that speaks without words. My new job, parent at a different company with a female boss who conducts interviews in well-lit office buildings at 2 p.m. Parent starts next week. Sometimes the biggest bullets we dodge are the ones we never see coming, but something inside us does.